Hey, happy Friday, everybody. So, I grew up in Wenatchee, Washington. Pretty much. Moved here when I was 8, I believe, or almost 9. And, yeah. Spent the longest batch of my childhood here till I graduated high school 10 years later. And I'm here this week because my sister has moved back here a few months ago for a job. And I'm back now to spend a week with her, but also to take a look around at what Wenatchee has become, what it's like still, or now, and kind of revisit some old stomping grounds and some history, personal history. I'm going to share some of it with you. Anyway, look at this beautiful morning. Right now I'm at the Confluence State Park, which when I moved back here in 1990 and was living in my van, my first van I lived in, this is the state park where I'd come and take showers. Because back then you didn't need a Discover Pass. You could roll into the camping area, park in a visitor area, plunk quarters in the shower, and get clean. Don't know if I could still do that, but I don't need to because I can shower at my sister's. So this is the view from my grandparents' place, now my uncle's place. Top Sunny Slope Hill, looking down the valley there. Sunny Slope Valley. It's the Wenatchee River. So, this is my family's orchard on my mom's side of the family. 7 acres here of cherries and apples, and it's a very special place to me, very special, because this is where my mom grew up, and this is where she brought us when our life in California fell apart when I was 6. And to come here from Carson, California, an urban jungle where I had to fight sometimes just to get to school, not be beat up myself, to come to Wenatchee, Washington, and run around in this orchard with my grandma in the house, making meals, tending after all of us, seeing my uncle working in the orchard. It felt like I had landed in a storybook, literally. To be safe and somewhere so beautiful and natural, with cherries to pluck right off the trees and eat. Magic place. My grandfather planted many of these cherry trees. Maybe not this very section I'm in, but several in the orchard are still originals that he planted. My uncle has planted many over the decades. He has run the orchard pretty much ever since my grandpa died at 58, had a massive heart attack. And Willie's been running it ever since, my Uncle Bill. And it is a gorgeous place. And if you've never walked through an orchard or experienced this kind of country, it's got its own unique beauty. As I'm sure you're getting little bits of a taste here. It's extremely special. And it's very emotional to think about this all being gone. My uncle and I just walked through the orchard together for about an hour talking about it. He was sharing history with me, answering questions for me, talking about when I helped him with harvests. When I was a young adult, I'd come here for cherry harvest when I was in school for photography to earn some extra money and run my ass off dumping boxes into bins and doing whatever needed to be done to help him. Those are some precious memories to me. But Willie is 73 now. He has worked his entire life in this orchard. And it's time for him to actually retire. And I'm happy for him. Sad thing is, nobody wants to take on the orchard and run it, you know. And the reality is, you can't just leave an orchard standing because of the liability of, you know, insects, and you have to keep maintaining it. So your only options are to run it and maintain it, or pull the trees out. So this is all gonna disappear, and that's it's extremely hard for me to wrap my brain around. And when we were talking, I asked him about that, and he says, yeah, that's not going to be easy for him. I know it isn't. So yes, this is a very special place, and I'm glad I got to walk through it. Glad I got to spend some time walking with Willie through it one more time before it's gone. This is where my life in Wenatchee began. What a place, huh? Back in the day when I grew up here, and when I was driving the truck to haul cherries into the warehouse, this was just a dirt path. Really nice that it's paved now. But look at that view. Gorgeous. And Willie's still got the old Massey Ferguson tractor I grew up riding on. I'd sit right here on the wheel wells right beside him. And I drove it a little bit hauling cherries too. This is my grandpa's old saw shop. He was a home light saw chainsaw dealer. Last but not least, to show you, it's this wonderful old 56 Ford. Oh man, I loved driving this. This is what I drove to haul cherries for Bill, and of course what he was driving all those years when I was just a kid. Yeah, I guess you could say I've got old truck stuff in my blood, pretty much. Because I absolutely loved driving this truck. I would still be happy to do it today for him. And what a great patina. That just looks so cool. What a beauty. 1956 Ford. And I can't forget the swing that Grandpa built and put out here. This bell's been here since I got here as a kid. And that was rung to let us know to come home if we were running around, which I was always running around. Look at this great swing. Many a time I got in trouble for swinging it way too frickin' high. Imagine that. Me swinging the swing too high. Nah. I would never do such a thing. Oh, there's that sound. It has always, I can't believe it. And that would always give it away. Because see, we're supposed to just swing gentle. But I could never help it. And I'd swing it bigger. And that would give me away. Then Willie would come run out from somewhere and give me a free shot. Yep, that's what he called him. So without a doubt, the best years of my child life were spent here. In that particular half of this little duplex. In Cherry Manor. A duplex development in Wenatchee. And this is where my mom, sister, and I had our first home of our own in Wenatchee after we were done staying up at Grandma's house at the orchard. Didn't look these colors back then. It was pretty new. And the trees on this street, they were tiny. They were little. Now the trees are huge. Yeah, so that's amazing to see. But yeah, my mom, she grew tomatoes under that window there. She'd hang her macrame stuff from that eve on sunny Sundays or Saturdays and weekends and do macrame. Actually, at that time, when we lived at 1228, she wasn't working. She took a couple of years off to just be a mom full time. And I think my sister may agree with me that those were the best years of our childhood. It was really great in that little place. Then Jim came into our lives. We moved to Vista Place, which you'll see next. But after Vista Place, when we escaped, we came back to Cherry Manor and lived in 1224 right there. Because it was a happy, happy place for us, and it was affordable. And yeah, we had to escape him. He went to work, a bunch of friends descended, packed us up and moved us out of there before lunchtime, before he came home for lunch. And Nick and I didn't even know that was going to happen. So that was quite an experience. But yeah, Cherry Manor has really good memories for us for the most part. And I can remember playing kickball with the neighborhood kids in this little area right here in between, and run around, just hang out. There were lots of kids here at that time, and so we got to really run around, play, and ride my bike and do all kinds of stuff. This place is good memories, and it's so wonderful to see these trees that were planted when I was a little kid that were so tiny. Now they're grand. Wow. Then there's this place, actually called Vista Place, or at least that's what it was called in the late 70s when I lived here. And this is where we lived with my stepfather, who abused us pretty relentlessly, terrorized us. In particular, made his life goal to convince me that I was a worthless piece of shit, not worthy of anything. But hey, as the managers of this fine area, there was a pool here, and it was my job to service and clean the pool. Never got paid a dime for it. Not to mention, I think it was at least 2, maybe 3 nights a week, he had a side gig as a janitor at a building downtown where he did office cleaning, and I did that work with him, did my equal share of that work. Never got paid a dime for that either. But that's just shitty stuff. The reality of what he did to us emotionally and psychologically is way worse. So yeah, this place, not good memories. And that was ours, letter O. I'm trembling just looking at it and thinking about what my life was like in that building. It was terrible. Terrible beyond anything else. I mean, it had big impacts on me when my dad left the picture as a young boy, and Mom and Nick and I were on our own. That was rough. But what Jim did to us was way worse. Way worse. So it's really wild walking around these places, you know, the good memory places, the terrible memory places, and thinking about how for other people it could be a complete reverse. Someone's life, you know, changed 100% for the positive when they moved into one of these split level duplexes in Vista Place. And here for me, it's just this horrible, horrible thing. Crazy. Life is really amazing. One good thing about this place, I would come out here and lay on the grass when I got the chance, look up at Saddle Rock up there. My sister recently told me, I think she said that the indigenous called that rock formation Two Bears. Let me zoom in. So we grew up locally calling that Saddle Rock, and that's a nice hike up there. Haven't done that since I lived here in the 90s. Maybe I should do that this week. We'll see if we can fit it in. So for my last of my junior high and my high school years, my sister and Mom and I lived right there at 1139 Jefferson. And those were pretty great years in this little house, post-evil stepdad. And I had the basement. It has a full basement, and it was so nice to build models and do artwork there and do all that stuff. It was a sweet little house. And these giant trees are still here. It's the only house on the street. Actually, the trees were bigger and more of them. It was like hidden away. I liked it. The backyard was really cool too. But those were some happy times in that house for the most part. They really, really were. So hey, that's all the childhood homes leading up through high school for me here in Wenatchee. And it's been amazing being here for several days by myself to roam around and think and feel the place again. It's been over 20 years since I've spent meaningful, certainly introspective solo time here. The few times I've been back to Wenatchee have been family events and stuff, and this has been a real unique experience to kind of retrace lots of my history, both, as a minor and in my years beyond. I have a lot of history in this valley in my 20s on as well, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But going around and walking around the places I lived here as a child has really had me thinking again about what home is, what it means, especially after my walk with Bill through the orchard, that's going to be gone, and that's going to dramatically change his home and how he's known it for so long. And along with all that, I'm feeling so much more right in myself as I keep being rolling. And, as everybody who follows this channel knows, my truck is my home. And it's a unique experience for a nomad when your home is on wheels and you travel with it. Wherever you are, you're home. And it's an experience that you can't you just can't understand exactly how that feels if you haven't done it. Like everything else in life, like every other experience, we can listen to someone describe it and we can understand what they're saying, but you can't know how it feels to experience something unless you have experienced it. And in the last year or so, I've been feeling like always comfortable with my rig. It's still home. But ever since I left Seattle, I've been feeling more and more right in terms of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm supposed to be in this truck, roaming around, connecting with different places and different people. My sister lives here now, which is why I'm here. I never would come to Wenatchee for a week if Nick hadn't moved here last summer. And I'm so glad I did now. I mean, I can see so many important things. It's just a big deal to be here and walk through our orchard one more time with my uncle. And so many other things that have been touchstones for me this week that I never even thought it would be. And I mean, this is way on my way. This isn't heading south like I normally would be this time of year, but it's been amazing. And right now I'm out at Pangbourne Field, the regional airport where I worked. Behind me is where the original terminal was. It's long gone. The hangar where I worked, fueling airplanes and scrubbing airplanes, is half down and gone. They're building some new thing there. And just all the change. The conclusion I'm really coming to, and why I think the point that has been driven home to me as I've been here, is that home is important and will always be connected to places that were significant to us, especially as a child. And of course, any place that we really build a home, like invest and put down roots. But for me, I have really made wherever I am home. And that's the feeling I get as I travel the way I do on wheels, is that home is in me. I have lots of memories here. I have lots of life history here, as I do in many places. And it's kind of coming to conclusion with me that I feel home pretty much everywhere. Yeah, because I have this rig. My home goes with me. I get it, of course. But there's a difference, because when I first started doing this, I didn't feel at home wandering. And now I feel my most genuine in a lot of ways when I'm wandering. And I just can't quite express that. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense. Home is historically a place, a set place, a base. And just isn't that for me anymore. You know, sometimes I think I will be doing this nomad thing until I die, you know. That wouldn't break my heart because I love this lifestyle. But another part of me too thinks, yeah, I want to put down roots someday. I want to be in a fixed place. I want to build something. Nothing big. But there are things you could do when you're set in a place. You can become part of a community much more. You can give back a lot more. You know, there were big brothers in my life as a, you know, as a young boy who didn't have a dad in his life. I want to give back that way. I want to do that for other young men, young boys who I know how that feels. And I really love to be able to give back. And I can't do that while I'm rolling. So it's things like that, you know, and I would like to have a dog. Can't do it while I'm on wheels. Don't even start that discussion with me. It won't work for me. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, I've really enjoyed this time this week and seeing how much things have changed, but feeling all those old memories. It's like hearing a song from a significant time in your life. It all rushes back as soon as you set foot on something that was a, you know, a monumental place for you somehow. It all comes rushing back, and I think that's wonderful. So anyway, I'm just going to wrap it there and say that, you know, I hope you love where you are. I hope you're home wherever you are. And I hope that everything in your life is growing and expanding. So there you go. Have a great weekend.